My daughter texted me, "Don't come here for Christmas. We need space from your drama." My son said nothing. I stared at my phone, reading those words over and over, certain I must have misunderstood. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I opened my banking app and canceled every single automatic payment I'd been sending them for years, all of them gone. The next morning, they both stood at my doorstep. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how a good mother became a woman who finally chose herself. My name is Jennifer Morrison, and for 62 years, I believed that being a good mother meant sacrificing everything for your children. For 35 of those years, I lived by that principle like it was gospel truth. I'm sitting here now in my kitchen in suburban Cleveland, the same kitchen where my husband David and I raised 2 children, the same kitchen where he collapsed 7 years ago while I was making his favorite pot roast, the same kitchen where I've spent countless nights alone, wondering where I went wrong. The December sun sets early here. Through my window, I can see the garden David planted 20 years ago. The roses he loved are dormant, now waiting for spring. Sometimes I wonder if I've been dormant too. Let me tell you about the text message that changed everything. It came 3 days ago on a Tuesday evening. I just finished my watercolor class at the community center, something I'd recently started to fill the empty hours. My phone buzzed as I was cleaning my brushes. It was from Sarah, my 34-year-old daughter. "Mom, we need to talk about Christmas. Kyle and I have been discussing it, and we've decided we need family time this year. Just us and the kids. You're always so needy and demanding, calling all the time, making everything about you. We need space. Don't call. Don't text. Just leave us alone for the holidays." I sat down hard on my kitchen chair. The phone nearly slipped from my grip, needy, demanding I had called her twice that week. Once to ask if Olivia needed anything for her dance recital. Once to see if they'd received the check I'd sent for their mortgage payment. That's what she called needy. I waited for Ethan, my 31-year-old son, to call to text, to say something in the family group chat where he'd surely seen Sarah's message. Nothing. Hours passed, then a full day. His silence felt like agreement, like betrayal just as sharp as Sarah's words. That night, I didn't sleep. I lay in bed staring at the ceiling. David's side of the bed, cold and empty as it had been for 7 years. The house creaked around me, every sound amplified by loneliness. What had I done wrong? Let me tell you about David, because understanding him helps you understand how I ended up here. David Morrison was the steadiest man I ever knew. We met in 1983 at a hospital fundraiser. I was 21 working as a medical secretary. He was 23, just starting his career as an electrical engineer. He spilled punch on my white dress and spent the next hour apologizing. We were married within a year. "Jen," he used to say, holding my hand across the dinner table, "the kids need to learn to stand on their own 2 feet. That's our job to raise adults, not permanent children." I'd always nod, agreeing in principle, but in practice. In practice, I saw my babies struggling and couldn't help but reach out to catch them. David died 7 years ago this past April. Sudden, unexpected. One moment, he was in the garage changing the oil in Sarah's car because Kyle couldn't be bothered to learn, and Sarah had asked. The next moment, I was calling 911, watching my husband's face turn gray, stroke massive and merciless. The funeral was on a Thursday. Sarah and Kyle drove in from their house 40 minutes away. Ethan flew in from his apartment downtown. They stayed 3 days. 3 days. I remember standing in our bedroom on that third evening folding David's clothes to donate. My hands were shaking so badly I had to sit down on the floor surrounded by his flannel shirts that still smelled like his aftershave. Sarah knocked on the doorframe. "Mom, we need to head out." I looked up my face, surely showing the devastation I felt already. "The kids have school Monday. We can't keep disrupting their routine." She checked her phone. She was always checking her phone. "You understand, right?" What could I say? That I was terrified of being alone in this big house, that every room echoed with David's absence, that I needed my daughter. Of course I said, "Drive safe." Ethan left that same evening. "I took bereavement leave from work already, Mom. I'll call you this weekend." He didn't call that weekend or the next. That's when it started. The fear, the crushing, paralyzing fear that I would lose them too. That if I wasn't useful, wasn't needed, wasn't giving them something, they'd drift away entirely and I'd be completely alone. So I made myself useful. It began innocently enough. 6 months after David died, Sarah called crying. "Mom, I don't know what to do. Kyle's been out of work for 3 weeks and we're behind on the mortgage. I'm so scared we'll lose the house." My heart broke. "How much do you need? 1,500 would catch us up." I sent it that day, transferred right from my account to hers. She called 2 days later, crying again, but this time with relief. "Mom, thank you so much. You saved us. I don't know what we would have done. You're the best mother in the world." Those words. God, how I needed those words. 3 months later, Ethan called. "Mom." "Hey. So I'm in a bit of a jam. My car needs a new transmission and I don't have the cash. Any chance you could help me out?" Just this once I sent him $3,000. It became a pattern. Then it became routine. Then it became expected. Sarah started calling every month. The mortgage payment, Olivia's dance classes, Noah's tutoring, medical bills, car repairs, always something, always urgent, always. I wouldn't ask if it wasn't important. "Mom," I set up automatic transfers, $100 or $500 on the first of every month. Ethan was the same. Rent increases, student loan payments, even though David and I had helped him with those years ago, emergency dental work, his car payment, on and on and on. I set up his automatic transfer too, $1,000 monthly. And beyond the monthly payments, there were the extras, the emergencies, the birthday gifts that cost hundreds, the Christmas presents that maxed out my credit card. When Sarah's washing machine died, I bought them a new one. Top of the line, delivered and installed. When Ethan's laptop crashed, I replaced it within days. He needed it for work, he said. When Olivia needed braces, I paid for them. Insurance doesn't cover everything Sarah explained. I told myself this was what mothers did. This was love. This was what David would have wanted, taking care of our family. But lately, a small voice in the back of my mind had started to whisper, would he have wanted this? Really, Thanksgiving should have been my first real warning, but I was too desperate to see what was right in front of me. I spent 3 days preparing turkey with David's secret brine recipe. Stuffing made from scratch his mother's cranberry sauce that took hours, sweet potato casserole, green bean, almondine, pumpkin pie, and apple pie and pecan pie. I set the table with our good china, the plates we'd received as wedding gifts 40 years ago. I polished the silverware, arranged fresh flowers from the florist, splurging because I wanted everything to be perfect. Sarah and her family were supposed to arrive at 1 hour. They showed up at 3:15. Traffic. Sarah said, barely looking at me as she walked past into the living room. She immediately pulled out her phone. Kyle nodded at me. He actually nodded like I was a doorman and headed straight for the TV. Found the football game, made himself comfortable on David's favorite chair. Ethan arrived 20 minutes later. "Hey, Mom." A quick hug, distracted. Sorry I'm late. Lost track of time. The only bright spot was my grandchildren. Olivia, 10 years old, with Sarah's dark hair and David's kind eyes, ran to me. Grandma, I missed you. Noah, 7, was right behind her. Can we have pie first after dinner, sweet boy? I hugged them both tight, breathing in their little kid smell of shampoo and outdoor air. We sat down to eat at 4:00. The turkey was dry by then. I'd been keeping it warm for 3 hours. Nobody noticed. Or if they did, nobody mentioned it. I tried to start a conversation. Olivia, how's school going? Are you still enjoying your dance classes? It's okay. She shrugged eyes on her phone. 10 years old with a phone at the dinner table. Sarah didn't even look up from her own device. Ethan, how's work? I tried again. Fine. He was scrolling through something. Sports scores, maybe. Kyle said nothing. Just ate watching the game on his phone that he'd propped against the water glass. The only person who talked to me was Noah. Bless him. He told me about his school play, about the fort he was building in the backyard, about his friend Tyler, who could burp the alphabet. I held on to his every word like a lifeline. At 6:30, Ethan checked his watch. I should head out meeting some friends at 7:00 already. The word came out more desperate than I intended. Yeah, we made plans weeks ago. He stood, grabbed his jacket. Thanks for dinner, Mom. I'll take some leftovers if you've got containers. He left at 6:45, arrived at 3:20, stayed 3 hours and 25 minutes, and most of that was spent on his phone. Sarah and her family left at 7. Kyle carried Noah, who'd fallen asleep on the couch. Olivia gave me a quick hug. Sarah paused at the door. Oh, Mom, the automatic transfer hasn't hit yet this month. Just wanted to make sure you didn't forget. Not thank you for the beautiful dinner, not I love you. Not how are you holding up with the holidays without Dad. Just did you remember to send the money? I'll check on it tomorrow. I said after they left, I stood in my dining room surrounded by dirty dishes and uneaten food. I'd made enough to feed 15 people. 4 adults and 2 children had barely made a dent. I started to cry. Just stood there in my kitchen, still holding the serving spoon, crying like my heart was breaking because it was. That night, after I'd cleaned up the Thanksgiving dishes and put away the mountains of leftovers, I couldn't sleep. The house felt too big, too quiet, too empty. I went to my bedroom closet and found the box I kept on the top shelf, the one filled with cards and letters my children had sent over the years. I sat on my bed and opened it. Mother's Day cards from when they were little. Hand-drawn pictures in crayon. I love you, Mommy, in shaky kindergarten handwriting. A card from Sarah when she was 8. You're the best mom in the whole world. Thank you for making me cookies and playing with me and tucking me in at night. I traced the words with my finger, remembering that little girl. Where had she gone? The cards changed as they got older. Middle school store bought cards with generic messages. Thanks for everything you do. High school often forgotten a belated card a week after Mother's Day. College years phone calls instead of cards. Brief calls. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. Got to run. I have class. And then after David died, something shifted. The cards became digital. E-cards that took 30 seconds to select and send. Free ones. Last Mother's Day. Sarah sent me a Facebook post, not even a private message, a public post. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there. Not even a specific acknowledgement that I was her mother. Ethan forgot entirely. Sent a text 2 days later. Oh, shoot. Sorry, Mom. Happy belated Mother's Day. I found one card from Sarah 2 years ago. I'd saved it because it had seemed particularly heartfelt at the time. Mom, you're always there when we need you. Your generosity knows no bounds. We love you so much. Sarah, Kyle, Olivia, and Noah. Reading it now, really reading it, I saw something different. Always there when we need you. When they needed not. when I needed. When they needed money, when they needed free babysitting, when they needed someone to listen to their problems. But when had they last asked how I was doing? When had they last noticed that I might need something too? I photographed the card with my phone. I wasn't sure why. Some instinct told me I might need evidence someday. Evidence of what I didn't yet know. The week after Thanksgiving, I tried to push away my doubts. They were busy, I told myself. They had their own lives. This was normal. But I was dreading Christmas alone. The thought of sitting in this house on Christmas morning with nobody to talk to, nobody to cook, for nobody to exchange gifts with it, was unbearable. So I texted Sarah. Casual light, not wanting to seem needy. Would love to spend Christmas with you all this year. I could come to you if that's easier or you're all welcome here. I'll make Dad's prime rib. Let me know what works. I waited for a response. 1 day passed 2 days. On the 3rd day, my phone buzzed. The message wasn't what I expected. Mom, we need to talk about Christmas. Kyle and I have been discussing it and we've decided we need family time this year. Just us and the kids. You're always so needy and demanding, calling all the time, making everything about you. We need space. Don't call, don't text, just leave us alone for the holidays. I read it 3 times. 4, 5. Needy, demanding. I had asked politely, lovingly to spend Christmas with my own family. That was demanding. The message continued. We need a break from your constant guilt trips and your need for validation. Let us have one holiday in peace. Guilt trips. What guilt trips? My hands were shaking. I set the phone down on the kitchen table, afraid I might throw it. I waited for Ethan to say something. We had a family group chat. He would have seen this message. Hours passed. I checked my phone obsessively. Surely Ethan would defend me. Surely he would say, Sarah, that's too harsh. Or, Mom didn't do anything wrong. Nothing. The next morning, still nothing. That afternoon, I texted Ethan directly. Did you see what Sarah wrote to me? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared, then appeared again. Finally. Yeah. Look, Mom, maybe she has a point. You do call a lot. I felt like I'd been slapped. I called a lot. I called twice a week. Once to check in, once to ask if they needed anything. My own son was siding with his sister against me. That night was when everything changed. I couldn't sleep. At 2:00 in the morning, I got out of bed and went to my office. David's old office, really. I'd barely touched it since he died. His desk was still there. His computer now outdated. His filing cabinets full of important papers I'd been too scared to sort through. I turned on the desk lamp and opened my laptop. I don't know what made me do it. Some instinct. Some small voice saying, "Look, really look." I logged into my bank account and I started to scroll. Not just recent months. I went back years. I exported statements, created a spreadsheet, something David had taught me how to do decades ago when we used to manage our household budget together. The numbers that emerged made me physically ill. Monthly payments to Sarah, $1,500, earned 60 months equals $90,000. Monthly payments to Ethan, $1,000, or 60 months equals $60,000. But that was just the automatic transfers. Then there were the emergencies. Sarah's transmission repair, $3,200. Sarah's down payment assistance on their house, $20,000. Sarah's washing machine, $1,800. Sarah's root canal, $1,500. Olivia's braces, $4,800. Noah's birthday party deposit at that indoor play place, $600. Ethan's car transmission, $3,000. Ethan's security deposit when he moved apartments, $2,000. Ethan's emergency dental work, $2,400. Ethan's laptop, $1,400. Ethan's loan, $1,100. Ethan's loan to cover overdraft fees, $800, on and on and on. And that wasn't even counting gifts, Christmas presents for 5 years, clothes, electronics, jewelry for Sarah, birthday presents, Easter baskets, elaborate ones, expensive ones, the American Girl doll for Olivia, $250, the gaming setup for Noah, $1,500. I added another column and another every purchase I could remember. I tried to document when I finally totaled everything I had to check the number 3 times. $24,600, $24,600 in 5 years. I sat back in David's chair, my cold coffee untouched my hands, shaking. That was 78% of David's life insurance. The money he had worked so hard for. The money he had saved so carefully. The money he had left specifically explicitly for my security in my old age. I could hear his voice in my head. Jen, this is for you, for your future. Don't let anyone take advantage of you. The kids are adults. They can manage. I had argued with him about it before he died. But what if they struggle? What if they need help? There's help, and there's enabling Jen. Don't mix them up. I dismissed his concern at the time. Our children weren't like that. I'd insisted. They wouldn't take advantage. But now sitting here at 2:30 in the morning staring at a spreadsheet that showed the brutal truth, I finally understood. David had known. Somehow he'd known. And what had I gotten in return for my $24,600 a text message telling me I wasn't welcome at Christmas? A son who wouldn't defend me. Phone calls that ended with "love you, mom" that sounded like autopilot, like obligation. Grandchildren I barely saw except on holidays, and even then, only for a few hours. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I had been paying for their love, and they had been selling it. I sat at David's desk until dawn staring at the spreadsheet. Part of me wanted to close the laptop and pretend I'd never seen it. Go back to the way things were. Keep sending the money. Keep trying to buy their affection. Keep hoping that someday they'd love me the way I needed to be loved. But another part of me, a part I didn't know existed until that moment, was angry. Not just angry, furious. I had raised them better than this. David and I had taught them about respect, gratitude, integrity. We taught them to value people over money relationships, over material things. When had it all gone wrong, I pulled out my phone and opened my banking app. Found the automatic transfers I'd set up years ago. Down to 500s to Sarah Morrison first of every month. 1,000 to Ethan Morrison first of every month. My finger hovered over the cancel button. What if Sarah really needed the money? What if they lost their house? What if Ethan got evicted? What if they never spoke to me again? That last thought stopped me, because the truth was they barely spoke to me now, even with the money, especially with the money. The money had become our entire relationship. I thought about David, about what he would say if he were here. Actually, I knew what he would say. He'd said it 5 years ago in one of our last conversations before the stroke. We'd been sitting on the back porch watching the sunset. Sarah had just called asking for money for Olivia's dance competition trip. I'd immediately agreed. David had been quiet for a long moment. Then Jen, do you know what the difference is between helping and enabling? What do you mean, helping is giving someone a boost when they need it, teaching them to fish, not giving them fish? Enabling is doing for them what they should be doing for themselves. And worse, it's letting them avoid the consequences of their own choices. I bristled. You think I'm enabling them? I think you're afraid of losing them. And that fear is making you give them everything they want instead of what they need, which is to grow up to struggle a little, to learn that they're capable of solving their own problems. I'd been annoyed with him that night. We'd argued about it, one of the few real arguments we'd had in 40 years of marriage. 2 weeks later, he was gone. And in my grief and loneliness, I'd done exactly what he'd warned me about. I tried to keep my children close by making myself indispensable, by giving them money they didn't have to work for, by solving problems they needed to solve themselves. And in doing so, I taught them that my only value was in my wallet. The anger clarified into something cold and hard and certain. I clicked cancel on Sarah's automatic payment. Then I clicked cancel on Ethan's. Both confirmations popped up. Recurring payment canceled. I stared at the screen for a long moment, my heart pounding. Then I opened my text messages and found Sarah's cruel Christmas message. I typed one word. Okay, that was all just okay. I pressed send. Then I turned off my phone. For the first time in years, the house was completely silent. And in that silence, I felt something unexpected. Peace. I slept for 4 hours. Deep, dreamless sleep like I hadn't had in years. When I woke up, I made coffee and sat at the kitchen table with my phone still off. I needed to think, really think. What would happen next Sarah would notice when the payment didn't come through? She'd call. She'd be angry, or she'd cry, or she'd manipulate. Maybe all three. Ethan would react too. Probably less dramatically, but he'd notice. And then, what I found myself thinking about David's filing cabinet. All those papers I'd been too scared to go through. I opened the cabinet and started pulling out files, insurance documents, the deed to the house bank statements from when David was alive, tax returns, and then I found it. A folder labeled, Important Jennifer's Eyes Only. I opened it. Inside was a letter in David's handwriting. The envelope said to Jen, "Open if I'm gone and you're struggling." My hands shook as I opened it. My dearest Jen, if you're reading this, I'm gone. And I'm so sorry I had to leave you. I know you, my love. I know you're probably giving the kids money right now. Probably too much. Probably letting them take advantage because you're lonely and scared of losing them too. So I need to tell you something. I never said enough when I was alive. You are enough. Just you. Not your money. Not what you can do for others. Just you. Your laugh, your kindness, your terrible jokes that always made me smile. Your beautiful heart. That's enough. The kids love you. But if they can't see your value without your wallet, they don't deserve you. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, Jen. You deserve to be warm too. I love you. I've always loved you. And wherever I am, I'm proud of you. Be strong. Be yourself. And remember you taught the kids to stand on their own feet. Let them. Forever yours, David. P.S. If you haven't already, go to Ireland. We always said we would do it for both of us. I read it 3 times, tears streaming down my face. He'd known even before he died, he'd known this might happen. And he'd left me this letter, this permission, this reminder that I was worth more than what I could give. I folded the letter fully and put it in my pocket. Then I turned on my phone. 37 missed calls, 16 text messages, all from Sarah and Ethan. I didn't read them, not yet. First, I had a phone call to make. David's attorney, Samuel Bradford, was semi-retired now at 68, but he still took calls from old clients. "Jennifer Morrison," he said warmly when his receptionist put me through. "How are you? I haven't heard from you in years. I need help, Samuel." Something in my voice must have conveyed the urgency, because his tone shifted immediately. What's happened? I told him everything. The money, the Christmas text, Sarah's cruelty, Ethan's silence, the 2040 600. When I finished, there was a long pause. "Jennifer," he said finally, his voice grave, "what you're describing is financial exploitation. In Ohio, this could qualify as elder financial abuse. I gave it willingly, I protested. Under emotional coercion and undue influence. That's different than giving freely. What do you mean your daughter threatened to cut you off from your grandchildren if you didn't comply with her demands? That's coercion. Your son's silence is a form of psychological pressure, the pattern of escalating demands combined with verbal abuse. That's textbook financial exploitation. I'd never thought of it that way. How old are you, Jennifer? 62. And your health? I have arthritis, high blood pressure, some anxiety since David died. Nothing too serious. But you're on medications. Yes, blood pressure medication. And I take something for anxiety as needed. He was quiet for a moment. I could hear him writing something down. Jennifer, I'm going to be very direct with you. If you want to protect your remaining assets, we need to act now. Your children know you're vulnerable. They're counting on it. The word vulnerable stung, but he was right. What do you recommend? First, a new will. Currently, everything goes to Sarah and Ethan equally upon your death. Correct? Yes, we change that. Make your estate conditional based on their behavior, or redirect assets to a trust for your grandchildren that their parents can't access, or even to charity if you choose. My stomach churned. That seems so drastic. Second, I want you to document every interaction going forward, every call text, visit, time, date, content. Save everything. Why? Because if they escalate, and Jennifer, they will escalate. We may need a protection order against my own children. I know it sounds harsh, but I've seen this pattern before. Adult children who view their aging parents as ATM machines. It rarely improves without intervention. Usually it gets worse. I felt dizzy. Third, consider a financial power of attorney to someone neutral. Not them, never them. Your sister, a trusted friend. Someone who can manage your affairs if you become incapacitated so they can't petition for guardianship. Guardianship? It's more common than you'd think. An adult child petitions the court claiming their parent is incompetent, can't manage their own finances. If granted, they get control of everything. They wouldn't do that. Jennifer, they sent you a cruel text message telling you not to contact them, then immediately called you when the money stopped. What do you think they wouldn't do? The silence that followed was heavy with truth. Can you come to my office tomorrow? Samuel asked. I'll have some documents prepared for you to review. Yes, I said. Yes, I can do that. After I hung up, I sat very still. My phone buzzed. Another text from Sarah. This time I read it. Mom, I see you canceled the transfers. What the hell? You need to fix that. The mortgage is due and I'm counting on that money. Not I'm sorry for what I said. Not can we talk about this. Just you need to fix that. I replied no. One word, that's all. Her response was immediate. Are you serious right now? You're going to punish us because you're having some kind of emotional breakdown. We have bills, Mom. We have kids. I typed back. So do I. Then I have bills too. And I need to take care of myself. Her response, you have Dad's life insurance. You have your pension. You're fine. Was I fine? I looked around my kitchen at the leak under the sink I'd been ignoring because plumbers were expensive, at the property tax bill on the counter due in January, at the prescription bottles lined up by the coffee maker medications that seemed to get more expensive every year. I had David's life insurance. Had past tense. Most of it was gone now, given to my children who told me I was needy and demanding. I replied, I need to go. Sarah, Mom, wait. I turned off my phone. That night, I didn't sleep much, but instead of tossing and turning in grief and confusion, I was thinking, planning. Samuel's words had shaken something loose in my brain, something that had been dormant for too long. I wasn't just going to cut them off and hope they learned a lesson. That would accomplish nothing. They'd just be angry. They'd paint me as the villain, the cruel mother who abandoned her struggling children. No, I needed a plan. I needed to understand exactly how much control they thought they had over me. I needed to see what they would do when the money stopped. I needed evidence of their true motives, and I needed to protect myself legally, financially, emotionally. I opened my laptop and started researching elder financial abuse in Ohio legal protection for seniors, how to document financial exploitation, estate planning, asset protection trusts. Hours passed. The winter sun rose late, casting long shadows through my kitchen windows. I barely noticed. I made lists called Automated Bank Services, taking notes found Samuel's business card. By midnight, I had the skeleton of a plan. Step 1, document everything. Every text, every call, every demand. Step 2, consult with Samuel about protecting my assets. Step 3, set up a new bank account they don't know about. Transfer my remaining savings there. Step 4, wait watch. Let them show their true colors. Step 5, make my decision about my estate based on their actions, not my guilt. I finally went to bed at 1 in the morning, exhausted but strangely calm. For the first time in years, I wasn't lying awake worrying about whether Sarah had enough money or whether Ethan was okay. I was thinking about myself, and it felt like waking up from a very long sleep. The next 3 days were surreal. My phone rang constantly. Sarah, Ethan. Sarah again. Ethan again. I didn't answer. The voicemails piled up. I listened to them once, then saved them to a folder. Sarah's first voicemail was angry. Mom, what the hell is going on? Call me back immediately. This is ridiculous. Her second was manipulative. Mom, please. I don't understand what I did wrong. Can we just talk? I'm so worried about you. Her third was desperate. Mom, the mortgage payment is due tomorrow. I'm going to overdraft if you don't send the money. Please, I'm begging you. Ethan's voicemails were shorter but followed the same pattern. First, Mom, what's going on? Sarah said, you're acting weird. Call me back. Second, Mom, I need the rent money. It's due tomorrow. Please respond. Third, fine, whatever. I guess I'll figure it out myself. I saved all of them. I also started logging every interaction in a notebook. Date time method of contact of message my response, or lack thereof. Samuel had said to document everything, so I did. On the 4th day, I had my meeting with Samuel Bradford. Samuel Bradford's law office looked exactly as it had when David and I had last visited to update our wills 15 years ago. Same mahogany desk, same leather chairs, even the same receptionist, though she'd grayed considerably, as had we all. Jennifer. Samuel stood and extended his hand. Please sit down. I sank into the leather chair across from his desk and pulled out my folder, the spreadsheet printed bank statements, screenshots of text messages, a timeline of financial requests. Samuel put on his reading glasses and reviewed everything in silence. His expression grew grimmer with each page. $24,600 in 5 years, he finally said, Jennifer, do you realize this qualifies as severe financial exploitation of an elderly person in Ohio elderly person? The word stung even though I'd expected it. I gave it willingly, I said again, though the protest sounded weak even to my own ears. Under emotional manipulation and undue influence. He tapped Sarah's Christmas text. This kind of verbal abuse combined with financial demands creates a clear pattern. How old are you? 62. And your health arthritis in my hands. High blood pressure, some anxiety since David passed. He made notes. Are you on medication? Blood pressure medication. Anxiety medication is needed. They're expensive. My insurance doesn't cover all of it. Have you ever rationed your medication because of money? I hesitated, then admitted once or twice. When Sarah had an emergency and needed extra money, I skipped a few doses to make my prescription last longer. Samuel's jaw tightened. That's exactly the kind of thing I'm talking about. You were sacrificing your own health to give them money. He leaned forward. Jennifer, I'm going to be very direct with you. If you want to protect your remaining assets, we need to act now. Your children know you're vulnerable, emotionally vulnerable after losing David, financially vulnerable, because you're retired. They're counting on it. What do you recommend first? A new will? Currently, everything goes to them equally upon your death. Correct. I nodded. We change that. Make your estate conditional based on behavior, or redirect the bulk of assets to a trust for your grandchildren, Olivia and Noah, that Sarah and Ethan can't touch. They'd receive it at age 25 with conditions. Or you can leave it to charity. Your choice. The thought of disinheriting my children made me feel ill, but the thought of rewarding their behavior made me feel worse. Second, I want you to document every interaction going forward. Every call, text, visit, time, date, content. You're already doing this good. Keep doing it. Why? Because if they escalate to threats or harassment, we file for a protection order. We may also need evidence if they try to challenge your competency. Challenge my competency. It happens, Jennifer. An adult child claims their parent is suffering from dementia, can't manage finances, needs a guardian. They petition the court for guardianship. If granted, they control everything. Surely they wouldn't. They told you not to contact them, then immediately demanded money when you stopped paying. They've already shown you who they are. Believe them. I felt cold. Third, give someone else financial power of attorney, not your children. Do you have siblings, close friends? My sister Linda, she lives an hour away. Perfect. We'll draft a power of attorney naming her. If something happens to you, if you become ill or incapacitated, Linda can manage your affairs, not Sarah, not Ethan. Fourth, I asked because I could tell there was more. Fourth, consider what you want the rest of your life to look like with or without them in it. That question hung in the air between us. I have 2 grandchildren, I said quietly, Olivia and Noah. I love them desperately. I understand. We can potentially maintain a relationship with them without maintaining one with their parents. Kyle, Sarah's husband, might be an ally if they divorce, which frankly sounds likely given the financial deception. I left Samuel's office 2 hours later with a thick folder of documents to review and sign. My hands shook as I drove home. That evening, as I was making dinner just for myself, a small chicken breast and salad, my phone buzzed. A text from Ethan, his first direct communication since the Christmas message. Mom, what's going on? Sarah said. You're acting crazy. I need the money for rent. It's due tomorrow, please. I stared at the message. Not, are you okay? Not, I'm sorry I didn't defend you. Not, let's talk about this. Just, I need the money. I typed back some financial changes. You'll need to budget differently going forward. His response was immediate. Are you kidding me? I'll be evicted. Is this because of what Sarah said? She was just stressed. You know how she is. You know how she is. As if that excused it. As if her stress justified cruelty. Another message. I'm coming over tomorrow. We need to talk about this. Then from Sarah. Brian told me you're cutting him off too. What is wrong with you? Where is your mother? Our grandmother would be ashamed of you. I didn't respond to either of them, but I did something else. I went to my bedroom closet and found the box of old family photos. I sat on my bed and looked through them. Sarah as a baby, laughing in David's arms. Ethan taking his first steps, reaching for me. Family vacations, birthday parties, Christmas mornings. When had it changed? I found a photo from Ethan's college graduation. David and I stood on either side of him, beaming with pride. Sarah was there too, with Kyle. Everyone smiling. That was 8 years ago. David was still alive. The kids were grateful for our help paying for college. We were a family. Ethan arrived at 11 the next morning. I watched through the living room window as his Honda Civic pulled into my driveway. The same car I'd helped him buy 3 years ago with a $5,000 loan he'd never repaid. He knocked sharply on the door, not the gentle knock of a son visiting his mother. An impatient, irritated knock. I waited a moment, steadying myself, then opened the door. "Mom." He didn't smile. He looked tired, unshaven. His eyes were reddened. "We need to talk." "Come in," I said evenly. He walked past me into the living room, and that's when I saw Sarah's black SUV pull up behind his car. My stomach dropped. They had coordinated this, planned it together. Sarah climbed out of the driver's seat. Kyle stayed in the car with Olivia and Noah in the back. I could see my grandchildren through the window, and my heart ached. They'd brought the children as leverage, as props. Sarah entered without knocking. "Mom, we need to talk now, both of you," I said. It wasn't a question. "Sit down," Sarah said, like she was in charge in my house. "This is my house, Sarah. I'll stand if I want to." Ethan ran a hand through his hair, a gesture I recognized from his childhood when he was frustrated. "Look, Mom, I don't know what's going on with you, but this stops today. You can't just cut us off without warning." "I gave you warning," I replied quietly. "Sarah told me not to come for Christmas. Told me you all needed space from my drama. I respected your wishes." Sarah's eyes flashed. "That was about Christmas, Mom, not about money. You're twisting everything." I walked to the kitchen table where I'd left my folder, picked it up, came back. "Let me ask you something, Sarah. When was the last time you called me just to talk, not to ask for money, just to see how I was doing?" She blinked. "We talk all the time. When I don't keep a calendar of our conversations." "Mom, this is ridiculous." Ethan stepped forward. "Mom, I'm about to be evicted. Do you understand what that means? My credit will be destroyed. I might lose my job if I have to move suddenly and can't make the commute." I looked at him. Really looked at him. "You make $58,000 a year, Ethan." I looked it up. That's the average salary for IT support specialists in Cleveland. Your rent is $900 a month. Where is your money going? His face reened. "That's none of your business. It became my business when you made me responsible for your rent every month for 5 years. You're our mother." Sarah's voice rose sharply. "You're supposed to help us. That's what mothers do. Help, yes." I opened the folder. Enable. No, there's a difference, and I'm just beginning to understand it. Enable. Sarah laughed harshly. "Oh my God. Have you been watching Dr. Phil or something? We're not addicts, Mom. We're your children who are struggling." Struggling, I pulled out a printed screenshot, one I'd saved from Facebook 3 months ago. "This is from your vacation to Cancun last spring. 5-star resort. You posted 16 photos. That's not struggling." Sarah's mouth opened, then closed. That was on a credit card. We needed a break. Kyle had been so stressed. And who do you think will pay that credit card when you can't? Who are you counting on to bail you out? Silence. I turned to Ethan. "You bought a new gaming computer last month. I saw it in your Instagram story. $1, $200, but you can't make rent. I needed that for work." He protested weakly. "You work in tech support. Your company provides equipment. Try again." The room fell silent. Then Sarah's face transformed. The anger melted into tears. Academy Award-worthy tears. "Mom, please." Her voice broke. "I'm sorry. Okay." I'm sorry about what I said. I was stressed. Kyle's been having trouble at work and the kids are expensive and I took it out on you. She wiped her eyes with the back of her hand. But you can't punish Olivia and Noah because I lost my temper. They need things, Mom. Olivia has her dance recital coming up. She needs a new costume. Noah has a field trip to the science center. Are you really going to take that away from them because you're mad at me? There it was. The guilt card played perfectly. For a moment, just a moment, I felt the familiar pull the instinct to comfort, to fix, to provide. Then I remembered the spreadsheet. $24,600. I remembered David's letter. You are enough. Just you. I remembered the Christmas text. We need space from your drama. No, I said firmly. Sarah's tears stopped as quickly as they'd started. What, yo, no, I won't be resuming the payments. You're both adults. You need to manage your own finances. Ethan's expression hardened. You're really doing this. I am. He turned toward the door. Fine. Don't come crying to us when you're old and sick and need someone to take care of you. The threat hung in the air, ugly and clear. Sarah grabbed her purse. You're going to regret this, Mom. Family is supposed to stick together, but apparently you're fine with being alone. She paused at the door, her final weapon. Don't expect to see your grandchildren anymore. I won't let you poison them against their own mother. Then they left, both of them walking out, leaving me standing in my living room, shaking. I stood frozen for a long moment after the door slammed. The house was silent except for the ticking of the kitchen clock. David's old clock, the one that had marked time through 40 years of marriage, 7 years of widowhood, and now this. The threat about Olivia and Noah hit harder than anything else. They were innocent. They loved me. I loved them. And Sarah was going to use them as weapons. I sat down heavily on the couch, let myself cry. Great heaving sobs that came from somewhere deep inside, somewhere I'd been keeping locked away for years. I cried for the children I thought I'd raised. I cried for the relationship I thought we had. I cried for David, who wasn't here to help me navigate this. I cried for myself, for the mother who'd given everything and somehow ended up with nothing. When the tears finally stopped, I felt hollowed out, empty, but also strangely lighter. I picked up my phone and called Samuel Bradford. They came to my house, I said when he answered. Both of them together. Tell me everything. I recounted the conversation word for word. Ethan's threat about not caring for me when I was old. Sarah's manipulation about the grandchildren, the tears, the anger, all of it. Document it, Samuel said. Write down everything they said while it's fresh. Time date, who was present. Did Kyle hear any of this? He stayed in the car with the kids. Smart on his part. He's distancing himself. That might be useful later. He paused. Jennifer, I need you to understand something. This is going to get worse before it gets better. They're going to try every tactic they know. Guilt, anger, manipulation using the grandchildren. I know you're doing the right thing even when it doesn't feel like it. After we hung up, I did what he said. I wrote down everything, every word I could remember. Then I did something I hadn't done in weeks. I called my sister. Linda picked up on the second ring. Jen, hi, I was just thinking about you. How are you? Her voice was so normal, so warm that I almost started crying again. I've been better, I admitted. What's wrong? I told her everything. The money, the Christmas text, the confrontation this morning. Sarah's threat about the grandchildren. When I finished, there was a long silence. Jen Linda finally said, and her voice was tight with anger. Why didn't you tell me this was happening? I thought I was being a good mother or a doormat. The words stung, but they were true. How much did you give them? She asked. Over $200,000 in 5 years. Jesus Christ, Jennifer. More silence. Then Sarah called me 3 days ago. My stomach dropped. What she said, you were having some kind of breakdown, that you'd cut them off financially and were acting paranoid. She was very worried about you. And what did you say? I told her I'd call you, which I was planning to do today anyway. Linda's voice softened. Jen, why didn't you tell me what was going on? We talk every week because I was ashamed, because I knew what you'd say, because I didn't want to admit that my children were using me. Oh, honey. We both sat with that for a moment. Then Linda asked, what are you going to do? I'm changing my will, protecting my assets, setting boundaries. Good, that's good. She paused. You know this is going to get ugly, right? It's already ugly. No, I mean uglier. They're going to call everyone. Tell their version of the story. Try to turn the family against you. I know, and you know I'm on your side, right? Completely, 100%. Tears pricked my eyes again. Thank you. Do you remember my son, Tyler, Linda's oldest? He was 36 now. Of course. 5 years ago, he asked me for $50,000. Said he was starting a business. Needed seed money. Promised he'd pay me back with interest. I'd forgotten about that. I gave it to him. Linda continued. The business failed within 6 months. Turned out there never really was a business. He'd gotten in over his head with some investments lost. Everything needed money to cover it. What did you do? I asked for my money back. He said, I can't believe you'd prioritize money over your own son. Didn't speak to me for 18 months. I didn't know that. I didn't tell anyone. I was embarrassed, hurt. But Jen, it was the best thing I ever did, because when he finally called me, he'd gotten his act together, got a real job, started going to therapy. He apologized, really apologized, paid me back $15,000 so far. So there's hope. Maybe, maybe not. But either way, you'll know you didn't enable them to destruction. You gave them a chance to grow up. We talked for another hour. Linda shared more of her story. I shared more of mine. When we hung up, I felt less alone, but Linda's warning echoed in my head. They're going to try to turn the family against you. That night, it began. My phone started ringing at 7 p.m. Aunt Patricia David's older sister, 70 years old, sharp as a tack, opinionated as hell. Jennifer. What is this I hear about you cutting off Sarah and Ethan? I closed my eyes. Here we go. Where did you hear that Sarah called me this afternoon? She's very worried about you, dear. She thinks you might be having some kind of episode. An episode. She mentioned you've been acting strangely paranoid, accusing them of stealing from you. She's concerned it might be early-stage dementia. Dementia, Sarah was telling people I had dementia. Patricia, I don't have dementia. I have clarity. Well, that's good to hear, but Sarah seemed quite convinced. I interrupted her. Patricia, did Sarah tell you how much money I've given her in the past 5 years? She mentioned you'd been very generous with helping them $24,000. Silence. I'm sorry. What, $24,600? That's what I've given Sarah and Ethan combined in 5 years. I have the bank statements to prove it. That's a lot of money, Jennifer. It's 78% of David's life insurance. More silence. And when I asked to spend Christmas with them, Sarah sent me a text telling me not to come, that they needed space for my drama, that I was needy and demanding. She said that I can forward you the text if you'd like. Patricia's tone changed. Please do. I'd very much like to see it. I sent her the screenshot while we were still on the phone. I heard her gasp. Oh my God, Jennifer, I had no idea. The way Sarah described it, she said you'd had some kind of fight and cut them off without warning. The warning was when she told me not to contact her. I'm so sorry. I should have called you first before believing her version. We talked for another 20 minutes. By the end, Patricia was firmly on my side. If you need anything, she said before hanging up, I'm here. And Jennifer, I'm proud of you for standing up for yourself. But Patricia wasn't the only one who called. Cousin Rachel texted, Hey, heard you're going through something. Here, if you need to talk, I explained the situation. She was supportive, but not everyone was. David's cousin Margaret called. She'd always been closer to Sarah than to me. I think you're being very harsh, she said after I'd explained everything. They're young, they're struggling. You have money sitting in the bank. Why wouldn't you help them? Because they're not struggling, Margaret. They're mismanaging. There's a difference. Well, I think you're going to regret this when you're old and alone, and they're not there for you. The same threat Ethan had made. I hung up on her. The calls and texts continued into the night. Sarah had clearly made the rounds. Some people believed her version most once they heard mine sided with me, but the damage was done. The family was divided, and I realized something. Sarah was good at this. She'd been manipulating people for years, and I'd never noticed. 1 week passed, then 2. Sarah tried calling multiple times. I didn't answer. Ethan sent increasingly desperate texts about rent eviction ruined credit. I didn't respond. Then 2 weeks after our confrontation, Sarah tried a new tactic. My phone rang. The caller ID said, Olivia Morrison, my granddaughter, calling from Sarah's phone. My heart raced. Was something wrong? Was she hurt? I answered. Olivia, sweetheart, are you okay, Grandma? Her small voice made my chest tighten. Why are you mad at us? Oh no, oh God, no. Hi, sweetheart, I'm not mad at you. Mommy said you don't want to see us anymore. She's been crying a lot. The manipulation was breathtaking, using a 10-year-old child to deliver guilt. Emma, honey, I love you very much. I wanted to see you for Christmas, but Mommy said no. Do you remember Mommy said she needed space? Mommy said you're being mean about money. Did Mommy tell you to call me a pause? Too long. She's right here. She wants to talk to you. Of course she did. Sarah got on the phone. Did you hear that? Do you hear what you're doing to her? You're confusing her. She doesn't understand why her grandmother doesn't love her anymore. Sarah, don't use your daughter to manipulate me. It's not fair to her. I'm not manipulating anyone. I'm trying to help Olivia understand why her family is falling apart. The family isn't falling apart because I set financial boundaries. Think about that. I hung up. My hands were shaking, but my resolve held. I called Samuel Bradford again. They're using the grandchildren now, I told him. Predicted, he said grimly. Don't engage. If they continue, it could constitute harassment. We're documenting everything. Remember that evening, I did something I hadn't done in years, something David and I used to do together. I went to the community center grief support group for widows and widowers. The group met Thursday nights in a small room at the community center. About 12 people sat in a circle ranging from their 50s to their 80s. The facilitator, a kind-faced woman named Carol, welcomed me. We have a newcomer tonight. Would you like to introduce yourself? I'm Jennifer, I said. My husband David died 7 years ago, and I'm having trouble with my adult children. The murmurs of understanding around the circle surprised me. You're not alone, said a woman across from me. She looked to be in her early 7s, well-dressed, kind eyes. I'm Ruth. My husband died 5 years ago, and my son, well, let's just say, I understand. As the meeting went on, I learned I was far from alone. Ruth's story. Her son had stolen her credit cards, racked up $18,000 in charges. She'd had to take him to court to avoid being liable. A man named George, his daughter, had forged his signature on loan documents, taken out a second mortgage on his house without his knowledge. He'd almost lost everything. A woman named Dorothy, her 3 adult children had fought over her late husband's estate like vultures. Hadn't spoken to her in 2 years except through lawyers. The hardest part, Ruth said, looking directly at me, is accepting that the children you raised aren't the adults they became. You keep hoping they'll change, go back to being the sweet kids they once were, but sometimes they don't. What did you do? I asked. I changed my will, left everything to a scholarship fund in my late husband's name. When my son found out he didn't speak to me for a year, she smiled sadly. Then one day he called, apologized, really apologized. We're rebuilding now slowly, but it took hitting rock bottom for him to see what he'd become. And if he hadn't apologized, then I'd have peace, knowing I didn't reward bad behavior. Either way, I'd be free. The word resonated deep in my chest. After the meeting, Ruth approached me. Coffee sometime. I think we have a lot in common. I'd like that. We exchanged numbers. As I drove home, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. I should have expected it. Samuel had even warned me. But when the call came, 3 weeks later, I was still shocked. Jennifer, you need to come to my office today if possible. Samuel's voice was grim. What's happened? Just come. An hour later, I sat across from him as he slid a legal document across his desk. Petition for guardianship of incapacitated person. I stared at it, not comprehending at first. Then I saw the name Sarah Morrison and Ethan Morrison petitioners, and mine, Jennifer Morrison, respondent. What is this? They're claiming you're mentally incompetent. They're seeking to be appointed as co-guardians to manage your finances. The room tilted. My vision blurred at the edges. What? They filed a petition with the court claiming you're suffering from dementia, can't manage your money responsibly, and need legal guardians to protect you from yourself. I couldn't breathe. This was real. My own children. Samuel pulled out more papers. They've submitted what they call evidence. A letter from a Dr. Richard Patterson claiming he has concerns about your cognitive decline. I've never heard of him. He's never examined you. Apparently, he's a friend of the gym. He wrote this letter based on family reports of your behavior. That's not legal, is it? It's ethically questionable at minimum, but it's enough to trigger a hearing. Samuel's jaw tightened. They've also submitted statements. Sarah claims you've become paranoid accusatory or making irrational financial decisions. He slid me another paper. Sarah's statement. I read her words. My mother has always been emotionally fragile since my father's death. Recently, her behavior has deteriorated significantly. She's become paranoid, accusing us of stealing from her when we've done nothing but try to help. She's isolated herself socially. She's making reckless financial decisions that will leave her destitute. We're terrified she'll lose everything if someone doesn't intervene. And Ethan's mom has never been the same since Dad died. She's depressed, anxious, showing poor judgment. She needs help, but won't admit it. We're her children. It's our responsibility to protect her even if she doesn't understand that right now. They're lying, I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. I know, but we need to prove it. Samuel leaned forward. Here's what we're going to do. I've already scheduled an independent psychiatric evaluation with Dr. Rachel Winters. She's board-certified, highly respected, specializes in competency evaluations. When tomorrow she's cleared her schedule for you, this is urgent, Jennifer. What happens if the court sides with them, then they become your legal guardians? They control your assets, your bank accounts, your property, everything. You'd need their permission to access your own money. I felt sick. But that's not going to happen, Samuel said firmly. because you're going to pass that evaluation with flying colors, and then we're going to fight this hard." Dr. Rachel Winters was in her mid-50s, calm and professional with gentle eyes that missed nothing. The evaluation took 5 hours spread over 2 days. Cognitive function tests, memory tests, questionnaires about my daily life, my decisions, my reasoning. She asked me to remember lists of words, draw a clock showing a specific time count, backward from 100 by sevens, recall details from a story she'd told me 30 minutes earlier. She asked about my finances, why I'd made the decisions I'd made. I was honest, painfully, completely honest. I was lonely, I told her. After my husband died, I was terrified of losing my children too. So I tried to make myself indispensable. I gave them money because it made me feel needed. It made me feel like a good mother. And now I realize I was enabling them to treat me poorly. I was teaching them that my only value was financial, and I can't do that anymore. Not if I want to respect myself. She made notes, asked more questions. "Tell me about the Christmas text." I showed her. She read it carefully. "How did that make you feel like I didn't matter? Like the only thing that mattered was the money? And when you stopped the payments, what was your reasoning that I needed to take care of myself? That I have my own bills, my own future to think about? That I can't set myself on fire to keep other people warm?" She smiled at that. That's a healthy boundary. At the end of the second day, Dr. Winters closed her notebook. "Mrs. Morrison, I want to be very clear with you. Your cognitive function is excellent. Your memory is better than most people half your age. Your executive function, your ability to plan, make decisions, solve problems, is strong. There is absolutely no evidence of dementia, confusion, or cognitive impairment of any kind." Relief flooded through me. "So the petition is baseless and frankly offensive. Your children are trying to manipulate the legal system to regain control of your money. That's not guardianship. That's exploitation." She leaned forward. "I'll be submitting a detailed report to the court. But Jennifer, I want you to understand something. What you're doing, setting boundaries, protecting yourself, refusing to be manipulated, that's not irrational. That's the best thing you could possibly do." I cried right there in her office, from relief, from validation, from years of being told I was wrong to want basic respect. The hearing was scheduled for mid-January. Samuel prepped me thoroughly. "They're going to try to paint you as confused, emotional, irrational. You need to stay calm. Answer clearly. Don't let them bait you into anger. What if I see the grandchildren Kyle has confirmed they won't be there? He's actually been cooperative. He wants no part of this." The courtroom was small, cold, fluorescent lights that made everyone look slightly ill. Sarah and Ethan sat with their attorney, Peter Morrison. No relation, unfortunately. He was a slick L-looking man in an expensive suit. They wouldn't look at me. Judge Patricia Coleman entered. She was in her mid-60s, stern-faced with sharp eyes that suggested she'd seen every trick in the book. She reviewed the petition, reviewed Dr. Patterson's letter. Her expression grew colder. "Mr. Morrison," she said to their attorney, "you're petitioning for guardianship based on alleged mental incompetence. Please present your case." Morrison stood. "Your Honor, Mrs. Morrison's children are deeply concerned about their mother's recent behavior. She's made erratic financial decisions, cutting off long-standing support to her family without explanation. She has isolated herself socially. She has exhibited paranoid thinking, accusing her children of manipulation and theft when they've done nothing but try to help her." He gestured to Dr. Patterson's letter. Dr. Patterson's assessment, based on detailed interviews with the family, indicates serious concerns about cognitive decline. Judge Coleman interrupted. Dr. Patterson has never examined Mrs. Morrison. Is that correct? Morrison faltered. He based his assessment on extensive interviews with her children who see her regularly. He hearsay. Continue. Morrison tried to rally. The petitioners can testify to specific instances of concerning behavior. She's threatened to disinherit them entirely, threatened or stated her intention regarding her own estate planning. She's made it clear she plans to leave her assets to strangers rather than her own children. Her money, her choice. Is there actual evidence of incompetence beyond the fact that she's making decisions you and your clients don't like? Samuel stood. Your Honor, if I may, we've submitted Dr. Rachel Winters' comprehensive psychiatric evaluation. Dr. Winters is board certified, has personally examined Mrs. Morrison. Her findings are unequivocal. No cognitive impairment whatsoever. The judge reviewed Dr. Winters' report. Her expression grew even colder. Miss Morrison, she said, looking at Sarah. Approach. Sarah stood. Her hands were shaking. How much money was your mother giving you monthly? $1,500. For how long? About 5 years. And when she stopped, you filed for guardianship. Is that the sequence of events? It's not that simple. It seems quite simple to me. Your mother stopped paying you, so you want legal control of her money. Sarah's face flushed. That's not. We're worried about her. The judge's voice was ice. Do you love your mother, Miss Morrison? Of course I do. Then explain this text message she read from the exhibit. Don't come here for Christmas. We need space from your drama. Did you send that to your mother? Sarah's face drained of color. I was stressed. I didn't mean you didn't mean what you wrote, or you didn't mean for there to be evidence. Mr. Morrison. The judge turned to Ethan. You make $58,000 annually, correct? Yes, Your Honor. Rent $900 monthly. Where does your money go? Ethan's face reened. I have expenses. That's not an answer. Student loans, car payment. Your mother paid off your student loans in 2022 according to these bank records. Try again. Silence. Judge Coleman closed the file with a sharp snap. Petition denied. Sarah gasped. Furthermore, I'm ordering both petitioners to reimburse Mrs. Morrison's legal fees in the amount of $12,000. This is one of the most transparent cases of elder financial abuse I've seen. 2 adult children attempting to weaponize the legal system against their own mother because she had the audacity to stop funding their lifestyle. The gavel struck. Mrs. Morrison, you have the court's apology for having to endure this. This hearing is adjourned. Sarah was sobbing in the hallway. Ethan looked stunned. Their attorney had already disappeared. Mom, wait! Sarah called after me. I turned. Her face was red mascara running. How could you do this to us? Something inside me snapped, not into anger, into perfect crystalline clarity. No, I said quietly. You tried to have me declared mentally incompetent so you could steal my money. You lied to a court. You used a doctor who'd never met me to claim I had dementia. You dragged me through this humiliation because I set a boundary. My voice was calm, cold. Don't you dare make yourself the victim. I walked away. Samuel put a hand on my shoulder as we left the courthouse. You did it. It's over. But as we stepped outside into the cold January air, I knew it wasn't over. It was just beginning. That night, exhausted from the hearing, I made tea and sat in David's chair. My phone buzzed. A Facebook message from someone I didn't know. Rachel Cooper, Mrs. Morrison. This is Melissa Hayes. I'm Ethan's girlfriend of 4 months. He hasn't told the family about me. I need you to know something important." My heart started racing. Ethan has a severe gambling addiction, online poker. That's where all his money goes. He's in debt to some very dangerous people. Owes about $35,000. He's been using your money to pay minimum balances on credit cards and keep bookies from coming after him. She'd attach screenshots, bank statements showing cash advances, poker accounts, text messages from someone named DeMarco. "Payment due Friday," or "We have problem." "I found all this last week. I've been trying to get him into treatment, but he won't admit he has a problem. I thought you should know the truth. I'm sorry for what he's done to you." Melissa. I stared at the messages for a long time. Gambling that explained everything. The constant need for money, the evasiveness, the desperation. My son was an addict. Summer arrived in Cleveland with warm winds and blooming gardens. David's roses were thriving. I'd learned to care for them myself, pruning, fertilizing, watering in the early mornings before the heat of the day. It felt symbolic somehow. Learning to tend to things, David had started learning to do things on my own. My life had changed in ways I never expected. Every Sunday, I saw Olivia and Noah. Kyle brought them to a park halfway between our homes. He'd stay at a distance, giving us space, but always respectful. "Thank you for this," he'd said the first time. "The kids need their grandmother." The divorce from Sarah was almost finalized. Kyle had primary custody. He'd found his backbone and was actually being a father. Tuesday mornings, I had coffee with Ruth. We'd become close friends. She understood what I'd been through in ways most people couldn't. Wednesdays, I volunteered at the senior center teaching computer skills, helping people my age learn to video call their grandchildren, navigate email, avoid online scams. Thursday's book club. We just finished reading Educated by Tara Westover. The story of a woman who had to leave her family to save herself resonated deeply. Saturday's hiking group. Cleveland Metrop parks had beautiful trails. I'd lost 15 OAB. My arthritis was better. My blood pressure was normal for the first time in years. I'd redecorated David's office into an art studio. My watercolors weren't masterpieces, but a local gallery had agreed to display a few pieces. I'd sold 2. The money didn't matter. The accomplishment did. Linda and I had gone to Ireland in July. The trip David and I had always planned. I scattered some of his ashes on the cliffs of Mare like he'd wanted. I cried on those cliffs, but they were different tears. Not grief exactly. Gratitude, maybe, for the life we'd had, for the strength he'd given me to build a new one. Financially, I was stable, comfortable even. I still had $47,000 in savings. My pension covered all my expenses. I'd prepaid my funeral, bought long-term care insurance. I would never be a burden to anyone. The new will was signed. Estate divided between Olivia and Noah in a trust they'd receive at 25. A generous donation to the senior center money for Linda's children, who actually called to check on me. Sarah and Ethan each got $1, the legal minimum. I hadn't spoken to either of them since the hearing until the morning in early September when my doorbell rang. I was painting a landscape of the park where I met my grandchildren, trying to capture the way morning light filtered through the oak trees. The doorbell startled me. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened the door. Sarah and Ethan stood on my porch. Both looked terrible. Sarah was thinner, older somehow. Dark circles under her eyes. Hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. No makeup. Jeans and a plain t-shirt. I'd never seen her dress so simply. Ethan was worse. Gaunt, unshaven, hollow, chicked. His clothes hung loose on his frame. Mom Sarah said quietly, "Can we talk, please?" I looked at them for a long moment, considered closing the door, but curiosity won. "Come in." They followed me into the living room. I didn't offer coffee, didn't make them comfortable, just waited. Ethan spoke first. "Mom, I'm in rehab for gambling. 60 days inpatient. I got out last week." "I know," I said. His eyes widened. "You know, Melissa told me 6 months ago." Pain crossed his face. "She told you before she left me. She was worried about you. She cared. We broke up after I got arrested." My stomach dropped. Arrested. I tried to steal from my employer to pay off debts. They didn't press charges if I agreed to treatment. His voice cracked. "I've hit bottom, Mom. Lost everything. My job, my apartment, Melissa, my self-respect." He took a shaky breath. "I'm living in a recovery house with 5 other guys working part-time at a call center, going to GA meetings every day, and I'm sorry for everything. The money, the guardianship petition, the things I said. I watched him looking for the lie, the manipulation. I didn't see it. I saw genuine remorse, but I'd been fooled before." Sarah's turn. "Mom, I." She struggled with the words. "Kyle left me filed for divorce. He has the kids most of the week. I lost the house. I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment working 2 jobs just to make rent." Her voice was small, defeated. "Kyle told me he sees you, that you have the kids every Sunday." "Yes. He said you never badmouth me to them. I don't tears now." "Thank you for that. You could have. You had every right to." She wiped her eyes roughly. "I'm in therapy twice a week, working on my shopping addiction, my need for control, my—" She swallowed hard. "My cruelty to you, the guardianship petition. Sarah, you tried to have me declared incompetent." I know. It was Kyle's breaking point. When the judge ruled against us and ordered us to pay your legal fees, he realized I'd lied to him about everything. About you, about the money, about my spending. He filed for divorce 2 weeks later. She looked at me directly. "I destroyed my own life, not you me." The room was silent except for the ticking of David's clock. "I'm so sorry, Mom," Sarah whispered. "I'm so sorry." The question hung in the air, the one they'd come to ask. "Can you forgive us?" I didn't answer immediately. I stood up, walked to the window, looked out at David's roses. "Do you know what I learned this year?" I asked without turning around. They waited. "I learned the difference between guilt and responsibility. Guilt is feeling bad about your choices. Responsibility is changing your behavior." I turned to face them. "You both say you're sorry. Maybe you are. Maybe you feel guilty. But Ethan, you didn't come here after 60 days in rehab because you wanted to apologize. You came because your sponsor told you to make amends. Step 9. Ethan looked down. "Yes. And Sarah, you didn't come here because you fundamentally changed. You came because you lost Kyle. You lost custody of your kids, and some part of you thinks maybe I can help fix it. That's not Sarah started. Don't lie to me. Not anymore." The words came out sharper than I intended, but I was done being soft. "Here's what I need you both to understand. I loved you. I loved you so much I let you drain me financially, emotionally, spiritually. I loved you so much I ignored every warning sign. I loved you so much I almost let you destroy me." My voice grew stronger. "But I love myself too, and I won't go back to being your safety net, your backup plan, your ATM." Sarah's face crumpled. "We're not asking for money, aren't you, Silence? Let me be very clear about what I'm willing to offer and what I'm not." I walked back to my chair, sat down, looked at them both. "Ethan, I will support your recovery not financially, but I will attend family sessions at your rehab if you ask. I will answer when you call if it's not about money. I will be there for your milestones, your 90 days, your 6 months, your year. If you stay sober, his eyes filled with tears. Thank you, Sarah. I will maintain my relationship with Olivia and Noah through Kyle. I will not badmouth you to them, but I will not lie to protect you either. They're old enough to understand consequences. She nodded, wiping her eyes. For both of you, I'm willing to rebuild a relationship if and only if you show me through actions, not words, that you've changed. That might take years. It might never happen, but I'm willing to try. Relief started to cross their faces. However, the relief died. I will not give you money, not for emergencies, not for bills, not ever. Mom Sarah protested. Not ever. That's not negotiable. But what if there's a real emergency? Ethan asked. Then you'll handle it like adults, the way millions of people do every day without their mothers bailing them out. I leaned forward. I will not let you guilt me about the grandchildren. I will not forget what you did. Forgiveness doesn't mean amnesia, and I will not let you back into my life fully until you've earned it. How do we earn it? Sarah asked, voice small. Time consistency, showing up when there's nothing in it for you. Calling to ask how I am not to ask for something, respecting my boundaries without argument. I paused. And there's one more thing you need to know. What may my will is changed. Everything goes to Olivia and Noah in a trust you cannot access until they're 25. There are provisions for Linda's children in charities. You each get $1. Sarah's sharp intake of breath. Mom, that's my decision. Final, non-negotiable. You taught me that my love was only valuable when it came with money, so I'm removing money from the equation entirely. We rebuild our relationship based on actual love, or we don't rebuild it at all. I stood up. Those are my terms. Take them or leave them. Sarah stood abruptly, her chair scraped against the floor. This is language, I said calmly. You're punishing us forever. We made mistakes. We apologized. What more do you want? Changed behavior. I am changing. I'm in therapy. I'm working 2 jobs. I lost everything. You lost things, Sarah. I almost lost myself. Her mask dropped completely. The real Sarah emerged, the one I'd glimpsed in that Christmas text. You know what, Mom? You're not the saint you think you are. You want to know why we took your money, because you bought it, offered to, because you kept insisting, because you made us feel like we owed you for every little thing. Did I make you file for guardianship? Silence. Sarah's voice dropped. Vicious. You want to keep the kids from me. That's what this is about. You've turned Kyle against me. You're using them as weapons. I'm not keeping them from you. You lost them through your own choices. Kyle wouldn't have left if you hadn't stopped giving us money. If you hadn't made everything fall apart, Sarah, I didn't destroy your marriage. You did. You hid credit card debt from your husband. You lied about where the money was going. You tried to have your own mother declared insane. I didn't do any of that. You did. The truth hung in the air like smoke. Sarah was crying now. Angry tears. Desperate tears. You don't understand what it's like. Kyle couldn't keep a job. I had bills. I had kids who needed things. I did what I had to do. By lying, by manipulating, by treating your mother like a piggy bank. You wanted to help. You said so. I wanted to be needed, and you exploited that. The cruelest thing Sarah had said was at the first confrontation. But this was worse. This was the final card. At least I'm not alone, Sarah hissed. At least I have my kids. What do you have? Some old ladies you paint with a sister who pies you. She moved toward the door, turned back. You're going to die alone, Mom, and we won't be there. We won't be at your funeral. We won't mourn you. You'll just be nothing. Is that what you want? The room froze. Ethan looked horrified. Sarah, Sarah realized she'd gone too far. "I didn't mean get out," I said. My voice was ice. "Mom, get out." Sarah grabbed her purse and fled. The door slammed behind her. Ethan didn't move. Long, heavy silence. "I'm not her," he finally said. "Aren't you?" You stood there while she said those things, and I was horrified. "Mom, I'm not Sarah." He stood up, faced me directly. "I can't speak for her. I can't fix what she said, but I can speak for myself." His voice was steady, clear, different than I'd ever heard it. "I destroyed my life. I destroyed any trust you had in me. I became someone I'm ashamed of, someone Dad would be ashamed of." He swallowed hard. "In rehab, they make you face what you've done. Really face it. No excuses, no justifications, just the truth. I had to make a list of everyone I hurt. Your name was at the top, Mom. Not because you were first chronologically, but because I hurt you the most. The person who loved me most. The person who deserved it least." Tears streamed down his face. "I don't expect forgiveness. I don't expect money. I don't expect anything. But I need you to know I'm changing. Not for you, for me. Because I don't want to be that person anymore. The addict, the liar, the son who threatened his own mother. How much debt?" I asked. $42,000. I filed bankruptcy in April. It's being discharged. I'm on a payment plan for what can't be discharged. And the gambling. 73 days sober. I go to GA meetings every day, sometimes twice a day. My sponsor's number is on speed dial. He pulled out his phone, showed me an app. See, 73 days. Every day I don't gamble, I mark it. It's the longest I've gone without betting in 6 years. I studied him, really looked at him. I saw David in his eyes. The good parts of David, the honesty, the determination. Your sponsor. What's his name? Robert Greenfield. Give me his number. Ethan looked confused. "Why?" "Because I'm going to call him and ask if you're serious about recovery. And if he tells me you're doing the work, not just going through the motions, then maybe we can start to rebuild something." I held his gaze. "But Ethan, it's going to take years, and I might never fully trust you again." "I know," he said quietly. And I meant what I said. No money, not ever. "I understand." Okay. Such a small word, but it meant everything. Ethan gave me Robert's number, hugged me a real hug, not a perfunctor one, and left. I sat in David's chair for a long time after he was gone. Then I called Robert Greenfield. 3 months later, December 25th, my house smelled like prime rib. David's recipe, the one I'd made every Christmas for 40 years. The tree was up, lights, twinkling stockings hung on the mantel. Not just mine. Ones for Linda, for her kids, for Ruth, for Olivia and Noah, for Ethan. I'd hung one for Ethan, not Sarah. Not yet. Maybe not ever. People started arriving at noon. Linda and her family first. Hugs all around. Her kids brought flowers. Ruth and her son, Michael. Michael had become a friend. We'd gone to a few movies together. Nothing romantic, just companionship. It was nice. Cousin Rachel, Aunt Patricia, a few people from book club. Kyle arrived at one with Olivia and Noah. Grandma. They ran to me, hugging me tight. "Merry Christmas, my loves." Noah thrust a drawing at me. "I made this for you. It was us, me and him, holding hands. Hearts everywhere. It's beautiful. I'm hanging it on the fridge right now." Kyle shook my hand. "Thank you for this, Jennifer. For everything." "How are you doing?" "Good. Really good, actually. Got a promotion at work. The kids are thriving. We're okay. I'm glad." At 2:00, there was a knock at the door. I opened it. Ethan stood there, clean-shaven, clear-eyed, holding a small gift and looking nervous. "Hi, Mom. I know I wasn't invited, but my sponsor said I should try anyway. If you want me to leave, come in, I said. His face lit up. Really, really? But Ethan. Yeah, this is about family. Real family, not money, not obligation, just people who care about each other. Can you handle that? I'd like to try. The house filled with laughter. Real laughter. Around the dinner table, Linda saying, Grace, thank you for this food for this family for second chances. Noah telling jokes, bad ones, everyone laughing anyway. Olivia showing everyone a dance she'd learned. Ruth and Patricia arguing good-naturedly about politics. Michael helping me serve the prime rib. Ethan quiet but present. Really present. Not on his phone, listening, participating. I looked around the table. This was family. This was what it should feel like. Kyle caught my eye from across the table, mouthed, "Thank you." I nodded. That evening, after everyone left, I found an envelope on the table. Sarah's handwriting. I sat down, opened it carefully. Mom, I'm not ready to see you yet. My therapist says I need to work on myself before I try to fix relationships I destroyed. Kyle sent me pictures from Christmas. The kids look happy. Really happy. Olivia said you made Grandpa's prime rib and it made her feel close to him. I can't say I'm okay with not being there. I'm not. But I'm trying to understand that it's my fault I wasn't invited. My therapist asked me to write what I actually feel, not what I think I should feel. So here it is. I'm angry you cut me off. I'm also ashamed that I needed to be cut off. I'm jealous the kids love being with you. I'm also grateful you're in their lives when I can't be fully present yet. I hate that you changed your will. I also understand why you did. I miss you. I also don't know how to be around you without needing something from you. The things I said about you dying alone, I can't take them back. But I need you to know they came from my worst self. The self I'm trying to leave behind. I don't know if we'll ever fix this. I don't know if I deserve another chance. But I want you to know I'm trying. Really trying. I'm 4 months sober from shopping. First time in 10 years, I haven't bought something I don't need. It's harder than I thought. I hope you had a good Christmas, Sarah. I read it twice. Didn't cry. Didn't call her. Just wrote back. Sarah, I'm proud of you for 4 months. Keep going. When you're ready, really ready, call me Mom. I put the letter in a drawer with David's letter with the text messages, with all the evidence of what we'd been and what we might become. December 31st, 9:00 p.m. I was reading in David's chair when the doorbell rang. Sarah stood on my porch alone. Can I come in? I studied her. Are you asking for money? No. Are you going to blame me for your problems? No. Then yes. She came inside, sat on the edge of the couch, nervous. Genuinely nervous. I've been sober from shopping for 5 months now. I got my visitation upgraded to unsupervised. I see the kids 3 days a week. I'm paying off my debt, $200 a month. It'll take 12 years. That's good, Sarah. I'm not here to ask for anything. I'm here to give you something. She handed me an envelope. Inside $1, $500 in cash. What is this first month I ever owe you? My therapist said I need to start paying you back. Not because you asked, because I need to Sarah. Her voice was firm. It's going to take me years to pay back what I took. I might never pay it all back, but I'm going to try. Every month $200 until it's done. I looked at the money, then at her. I don't need this money, Sarah. I know, but I need to give it. Please. I took it. I'll put it in the college fund for Olivia and Noah. She smiled sadly. That's perfect. We sat in silence for a moment. I should go, Sarah said. I have an AA meeting at 10. I thought you said shopping addiction. Turns out I had more than one problem. I was self-medicating with wine. A lot of wine. Kyle didn't know. Nobody knew. I hid it well. My heart broke. Sarah, I'm okay, Mom. For the first time in years, I'm actually okay. Sober, honest, poor as hell, but okay. At the door, she paused. Do you think we'll ever be okay? You and me, I thought about it. Really thought about it. I don't know, I said honestly, but I think we're starting. That's enough, she whispered. We didn't hug. Not yet, but someday. Maybe someday we would. January 2026, my 63rd birthday. A small party at my house. Linda, Patricia, Ruth, Rachel, Kyle with the kids. Ethan, 11 months sober from gambling. New job making $52,000. Less than before, but honest money. Sarah, 10 months sober from alcohol. 13 months from shopping joint custody, now 50-50. Dating someone new named Jim, an accountant. Stable, boring, perfect for her. Sarah had given me $2,500 every month for 10 months. $15,000 into the college fund. She still had $189,000 to go. At $200 a month, it would take her 79 years. I'd never see all the money back. We both knew it. But that wasn't the point. The point was, she was trying. Ethan called every Sunday just to talk about his week, his struggles, his small victories. He asked about my life, actually listened to the answers. Sarah and I had coffee once a month. Sometimes it was awkward. Sometimes it was good. Always it was honest. We were rebuilding slowly, carefully, like you rebuild after an earthquake. Checking every foundation, testing every support beam. At my birthday party, Sarah gave me a small box inside a framed photo. Me and Olivia and Noah at the park. Kyle had taken it. We were laughing. Really laughing. I know I can't fix what I broke, Sarah said quietly, but I wanted you to have this, a memory that's good. Thank you, I say, he said, and meant it. That evening, after everyone left, I found something else. An old letter, the one from David. I read it again. Don't set yourself on fire to keep others warm, Jen. You deserve to be warm, too. I walked to the window, looked out at the garden. The roses would bloom again in spring. They always did. My phone buzzed. Text from Sarah. Thank you for today and for not giving up on us. Happy birthday, Mom. I love you. Text from Ethan. 11 months today. Thanks for being there. Love you. Text from Olivia. Grandma, you're the best. Can we do watercolors next week? Text from Michael. Thanks for letting me crash your family party. Same time next year. I smiled. Typed back to everyone. Love you too. Stood. Walked to David's photo on the mantle. I did it. I whispered. I chose myself. And I didn't lose them. Not completely. Not forever. I could almost hear his voice. I'm proud of you, Jen. People ask if I regret cutting them off. I regret that it was necessary, but I don't regret choosing myself. I lost $200,000. I gained my life back. That's a trade I'd make again. My children are learning to be adults, to take responsibility, to understand that love isn't transactional. My grandchildren know they're loved by me, by their father, and slowly by a mother who's learning to be the person they deserve. I'm 63 years old. I paint. I hike. I have friends who value me for who I am, not what I can give them. I sleep peacefully, and every morning I wake up and tend David's roses. They're blooming. So am I.